I'm Haley B. Miller, and this is Ohio Politics Explained, a podcast where you give us 15 minutes and we give you all the news you need to sound smart and impress your friends. Welcome to another episode of Ohio Politics Explained. Today, we'll walk you through the scandal surrounding a congressman in Northeast Ohio. We'll also break down Vivek Ramaswamy's new data center plan and the latest with Haitians in Springfield. Joining me today is Anthony Shoemaker.
Hi, Haley.
Hello. Let's start with Congressman Max Miller, who represents Ohio's 7th District. Miller is accused of abusing his ex-wife, Emily Moreno, who is the daughter of Senator Bernie Moreno. Emily also accused Miller of breaking their 2-year-old daughter's collarbone. Miller denies all of this. Miller and Moreno divorced in June 2025, but they've been locked in a nasty custody fight that's gotten a lot more public the past few weeks. What are we hearing from Miller and the Moreno family just about everything that's happening?
Yeah, this has been really crazy how it's played out nationally. Miller went on X on Sunday talking about, kind of defending himself, saying all of this was fake. And then later, Senator Moreno slammed his ex-son-in-law, saying that he should leave office, he shouldn't run, he should resign. President Trump called Miller and told him basically, sounds like things don't look good for you, but didn't call for him to resign. And it's weird how the politics are lining up on this. A lot of senators are, coming out against Miller a bit because I think because Moreno is one of them. You have members of Congress and Speaker Johnson saying, we're going to let this play out. But it's just so ugly that if this involving a child and a family situation is playing out so publicly.
Yeah, this has been really intense. And as you alluded to, Miller is running for re-election right now against Democrat Brian Poindexter. And Miller is adamant that he is staying in the race. And it's interesting because his district is generally reliably red. It's a very Republican area of Northeast Ohio. But because of all of these allegations, I think some Republicans have concern about whether he's going to be able to pull this out in November when Republicans are already defending a pretty tight majority. And, people are wondering if maybe Poindexter has a better shot than he would have a couple months ago.
Yeah, it's all about control of Congress, and it's in really low single digits right now. Is it going to stay in single digits? If the fight for Congress was not as close, would the attitudes on this whole situation be completely different? If this was like a slightly Republican district, would there be more calls for him to step down? This is a plus 11 district. Donald Trump won, I think, by like 14 or 15 points in 2024. So I think Miller's basically saying, even with all of these accusations against me, I can still probably win here.
Right. And as of now, Miller has not been charged with a crime. The House Ethics Committee has launched an investigation into him. It's not totally clear what prompted this because there were a few people calling for an ethics probe into Miller, but in kind of an unusual twist, Miller said he would file paperwork to launch an investigation saying he has nothing to hide. These ethics probes take a minute to play out, so I don't know if we'll have any clear answers on that before November or not.
Yeah, early voting starts in October. The time frame on this is really short. The other thing that's interesting is, obviously, Max Miller went on CNN recently. Brian Poindexter was on MSNBC this week. This is getting national attention, and it'll be interesting to see if the national parties put any additional money into this race.
Our next topic is data centers, because when aren't we talking about data centers? Vivek Ramaswamy unveiled a plan to require new data centers to not just pay for their electricity, but the electric bills of Ohioans who live near them. He also wants to get rid of property tax abatements for these companies. How does this compare to his opponent in the governor's race, Amy Acton?
Well, Amy Acton has called for a quote unquote conditional moratorium on new data centers unless they cover like their own utility costs. She wants them to use 100% union labor, not build on farmlands and some of that kind of stuff. So there are differences. Ramaswamy's coming out and saying that she's parroting a lot of his ideas. Data centers are shaping up to be a huge issue in the upcoming election nationally.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, it's even been popping up in the Senate race between John Husted and Sherrod Brown, when I feel like you don't intrinsically think of data centers as an issue for Congress to handle, but here we are.
Yeah, and you have to think that the line that big data centers should also pay your utility bills is a good marketing ploy from Ramaswamy to say. It sounds good.
Yeah, and Ramaswamy did say as part of his pledge that he will sign an executive order if he becomes governor to halt new data centers until this plan is put into place. Of course, Ramaswamy would have to negotiate the details with the state legislature. That's how laws are made. And, there are a lot of differing opinions within the legislature about how to handle data centers. They can't really agree on legislation for that right now. So it'll be interesting to see what conversations happen with this next year, regardless of who is governor, as, state leaders continue to try to deal with these very unpopular developments.
Yeah, and it seems like it's kind of one of those rare issues where Republicans and Democrats, the mainstream kind of voting, the people, are a little unified in their hatred of data centers.
Yeah, bipartisanship is not dead yet. We will end today with an update on Ohio's Haitian population. As a reminder, the Trump administration ended legal protections for Haitians who live in the United States, even though their home country remains unsafe. Now, those who remain in Ohio can't work or hold a driver's license. There are still a lot of questions about what comes next for these folks, but some of them have started to get a taste of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some reports, too, that Haitians reporting to ICE offices in Ohio have been fitted with ankle monitors or threatened to be deported out of the country. You're hearing reports of, Springfield was obviously the kind of the hot seat for this as far as the national news is concerned, and a lot of the businesses there relied on those workers, and they've lost those workers. Some have moved to other cities in Ohio. Talk about some that have gone to Canada. Governor DeWine's talked about kind of how the hell of living in Haiti and kind of the situation there, and been supportive of, finding some kind of a solution to help the Haitians stay here, but it doesn't look like that's happening.
Yeah, and as you noted at the Cincinnati ICE office, our colleague talked to some Haitians who reported there last weekend, and they had the option to either self-deport with $2,600 or wear this ankle monitor, which I believe has like a 75-mile radius around their home. It's just a lot of uncertainty. There are some potential legal avenues for Ohio Haitians, like asylum, but advocates for Springfield's Haitian community have said that a lot of people were on temporary protected status because they didn't qualify for other legal immigration programs.
Yeah, I mean, the gang violence and the kind of, unpredictability in Haiti. I mean, the people who are here obviously are very scared to go back. So, what are they going to do? So it seems like trying to find somewhere else to go is, where do they go?
Yeah. And one more thing before you go. Governor Mike DeWine has strong feelings about beavers. At the state fair this week, he said Buc-ee's should drop its lawsuit against a Beaver Creek business that claims the store too closely resembles the Buc-ee's beaver. After all, DeWine said, the city is called Beaver Creek.